Hello and welcome to Pet Pals. This week we actually have 5 dogs to show you. I'm Bethany Davidson, the humane educator here at Frederick County Animal Control, and the first dog that Tammy is wrangling is Owen. And Owen has been with us for a long time. Owen has been with us since November, and you may have read in the paper there was a neglect case, and Owen is one of the dogs that was part of that case, and we've spent a lot of time working with him, and now he's available and he's on our adoption floor. Owen is about 3 to 5 years old. He is a hound mix, and he has come a very long way from being super shy, super anxious, very afraid of new situations, new people, to the point where now he is able to be on our adoption floor, and we're hoping that we can find him a loving home where he can live for the rest of his life. Given that he did come from a situation that was not ideal, he is going to require a little bit of patience on the part of his owner. Working to socialize him and get him comfortable with new things. Just in my experience with him, Owen, even though he's been here for a long time, doesn't really know me. In our education room, he was a little nervous about meeting me, but then we went outside and he really warmed up quite quickly. So just being patient and really working with him, being gentle, and knowing that if you take him home, it might take him a while to get accustomed to his new living situation. If you're having people over and things like that, you really want to be very patient. Because he also came from a situation where he wasn't treated the best, things like training, he's going to need a little bit of work there. House training is going to be something that you'll have to work on. We have sent him to some classes, so he has had some training under his belt. So just, reinforcing those things. He does know a nice sit. He loves squeaky toys, so in addition to working for food, he would work for a toy as well. So there's lots of potential here with Owen, but you really want to take into consideration where he's come from and making sure that you're prepared to really be patient and work with him so that he can have the best life from this point forward. If you're interested in Owen, you can visit him here at Frederick County Animal Control. His adoption fee, because he's an adult dog, is $92.50. Our next guest is Stewart, and he came from the same situation that we pulled Owen from. There were many animals that came from there. Stewart came as a super small puppy. He was one of 3 puppies, and he's the last one that needs to find a new forever home. They were very small when they came in, and now he's about 6 months old, so he's lived here most of his life, either here in the shelter or with his very loving foster family. He is a boxer mix, even though he looks very similar to Owen. They are different breeds, so he's a boxer whippet mix, actually. He's a very handsome guy, and the word that best describes Stewie, as he's also known, is goofball. He's just a big goofball. He has had the great opportunity to go to 2 dog training camps that were a week long each. So he went to a basic manners class, and then he also went to a behavior modification class. So he is really doing very well with his manners. He knows a lot of cues. So if he's jumping up when you approach his kennel, if you say off, he will, get down. He will do a verbal sit, a verbal down. He has a lot of things that he's still in the process of learning, but he definitely knows that if he sits, he's going to get a reward, and so he's very good with those things. In addition to those training classes, his foster mom had really been working with him, and while he has a lot of great qualities and a lot of potential, he does have a lot of restrictions because he does have some resource guarding issues. He wants his water bowl and his food bowl to be only his. He doesn't want to share necessarily with other animals, or he doesn't want kids kind of reaching into his bowl. So Those are things that you need to make sure you're taking a look at. On our website, we do have a list of all of the things that we're kind of looking for Stewie's home, just to make sure that he's going to get everything that he needs to become a wonderful canine citizen. So take a look at all of those things. If you think that you meet those requirements, you can stop in and visit with him. Or if maybe you've seen this, but you don't have access to the internet and you want to know what those restrictions are, you can give us a call here at the shelter. Our phone number is 301-600-1546, and you can just ask about Stewart. Because he is still a puppy, his adoption fee will be $150. With the release of the Avengers, we have taken on the Avengers to help us name some of our stray animals that come in, and this is one of those guys, and this, given his size, he is Hulk. He weighs in at 104 pounds, but he's definitely not an angry guy. He's just large. He is very sweet and very kind of mellow in his kennel, just kind of hanging out. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. Doesn't really play very much. Just needs a little bit of someone teaching him, how to play. He is also a little bit overweight, so he could use a diet and exercise plan, but he's, going to make a great dog for someone. And it's surprising that he doesn't already have a bunch of applications. He really doesn't have any. He's about 4 to 5 years old. Again, he came to us as a stray, so we're still figuring out, the quirks to his personality and things he likes and doesn't like. He is a retriever mix, and he's a very handsome guy. He has a little bit of possible arthritis, so we have him on some supplements for that so that he can feel a little bit better. So you want to make sure that when you're coming in, you're reading this profile thoroughly to make sure that you understand everything that's going on with an animal before you decide whether you want to make them part of your family. You want to look and see. There are vet notes here. It's talking about his arthritis and things like that, so that you're prepared for all of that. There's also a behavior assessment. So he does pretty good about keeping his kennel clean. He's friendly, excited. He's no reaction with the other dogs. He's easy to obtain. He's a strong guy, so he can be a little bit difficult to walk in that he just pulls. So some training on polite leash walking will do the trick there. He enjoys his food, as we can see by his size. He likes to be petted and things like that. He's just a very sweet guy who needs a second chance at a forever home. It's clear that he was owned by someone at some point, and we don't know what the situation was that made him a stray and brought him here. But he just needs someone to take him on and provide him with all the love that he really deserves. If you want to meet with Hulk, you can stop in at the shelter. We are open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. We went from our biggest dog to our smallest dog. This is Callie, and she is a 3-month-old boxer mix. And people may say, oh, I thought she had already been adopted. Well, Callie was adopted, but she was returned shortly thereafter, which brings us to the important topic of make sure that you're ready to have a puppy and all that entails before you adopt a puppy. Puppies are a lot of work. It's like having an actual human infant in your house. They don't know anything. They are very reliant on you for everything. They wake you up in the middle of the night. You've got to take them out to go potty. You've got to house train them. You've got to teach them not to chew on things because they're teething. So they are a lot of work, and you have to really spend a great deal of time with a puppy as young as Callie is to properly train her so she becomes a good dog. If you don't put the effort into your puppy, then they could be taking a ride on the Hot Mess Express for the rest of their life. So you really want to make sure that you're putting a lot of effort into it. They shouldn't be left alone for long periods of time. You really have to spend some quality time with them. That being said, Callie has a lot of potential, but she is the epitome of puppy. She's into everything. She's wants to chew on everything. So you really, again, have to be committed to that. our puppy process, we do take an extended application for all of our puppies and ask a lot of questions. And then we do take up to 4 applications. We try to choose the best fit for the dog. We make sure that she's had her medical check. The one thing that Callie will still need is, because she's underage, she'll need her rabies vaccination. We can't do that until she's about 4 months old. This is Callie in her truest form, kind of all over the place, a little bit of a goofball. When you walk by her kennel a lot of times, because she's alone, she's just napping in there, sleeping. But when you get her out, this is what you get. All puppy all the time. So yes, she is very, very cute. But all puppies eventually grow into adults, so you want to make sure that you're putting in the effort and the work now, have the commitment, so that she doesn't come back to the shelter when she's not as cute, several, 50, 60, 70 pounds, and she's still behaving this way. So you want to make sure you're really committed to that. If you are interested and you have the time that a puppy demands, you can stop in and visit with Callie here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Again, our address here in Frederick is 1832 Rosemont Avenue. Our last canine guest for you today is Bodie. And Bodie is a dog that is available for adoption here at the shelter, but he is not out on our adoption floor. And the reason for that is Bodie is afraid of strangers, essentially. He is fine when he meets strangers out and about, but when he's in his kennel and strangers come by, since he's afraid of them, he kind of barks and growls out of fear. In the dog's mind, if he shows that kind of aggressive stance, what appears to be aggressive, then the people that he's afraid of will go away. So he's protecting himself. It's a defense mechanism. Since he is not able to get away from the thing that he's afraid of, the next thing is to get the thing that he's afraid of to leave him. But again, outside, he is just the sweetest, most loving dog. Today, in fact, the cameraman, he's never met him before, and he's been great with him because he's not in a confined space, and he's also with people that he knows and trusts. So that is why Bodie is only available to meet with through an appointment. So we ask that you call and schedule that appointment so we can bring Bodie out of his kennel and introduce you to him in a more positive environment for him. But again, other than that, this is what you get when he feels comfortable. He is a 3-year-old black and white pit bull mix. He loves to give kisses. He loves treats. He's very smart. He's learning good manners very quickly. He knows a sit really well. You can lure him into a down. He wants to please you. He's very treat motivated. He takes treats very gently. Our volunteers have actually taken him out to the park, and he did well with meeting kids and other animals. He actually previously lived with children as well as cats. So he has amazing potential, but you do need to be mindful of the fact that he is afraid of strangers. So you have to introduce new people to him very slowly. A good way to do that is to have them kind of come in low and sit at an angle and kind of let the dog come to them, toss treats, get him comfortable. So especially in that first couple of weeks when you're taking him home, you don't want to introduce him to a lot of new things. You want to make sure he's comfortable with you and your family before you start introducing your friends and your children's friends and all your other extended family members. But again, once you realize that he has that fear and you're able to work with him, he is going to make a great companion for any family. There are no restrictions on who can adopt Bodie. He will be adopted for a fee of $92.50, and again, you can call the shelter at 301-600-1546 to make that appointment to visit with him. We want to thank everybody for watching this portion of the show. We hope that you'll come back after the break, where we're going to introduce you to some of the felines that are also available for adoption here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center.
Frederick County Sheriff's Office now offers fingerprinting services 3 days per week, from Tuesday through Thursday. Our goal is to make it more convenient for citizens to have fingerprints taken for employment, licenses, permits, and other important issues like adoption and child care services. The Sheriff's Office will continue to accept credit and debit cards, checks, and money orders as payment for fingerprint fees. Cash is not accepted. For more information, contact the Fingerprint Information Line at 301-600-4058.
Welcome back. Our first feline guest is Nyla, and she is 1.5 to 2 years old, and she is one of our moms here at the shelter. She was the first cat actually of this kitten season to have kittens that were actually born here at the shelter on our property. All of her kittens have since been adopted. They came back a little bit sooner than she did. Huxley, Hadley, Henley, and Huey all got adopted last week, and now Nyla is looking for her chance at a forever home. She's a petite little girl. She weighs 6 pounds, 7 ounces. And since she is an adult, she probably won't get much bigger. She's kind of the size of, basically still a kitten herself. She is very sweet and very playful, and she was actually a really good mom. So that shows, how affectionate and attentive she can be. She did really well in her foster home. She hasn't been exposed to dogs, so we don't know how she'll do with that. But she's very loving. She will kind of sit up and climb up next to you while you're watching TV, reading a book. But she'll also, play with you. As you can see, she's kind of interested in exploring because she still has that nice, young, playful side to her. Our foster parents say she really likes feather toys, so she's going to be a great addition to any home. One of the things that is unfortunate is that we see these moms come in and they're so sweet, but the kittens go and they're still here, and they're here for quite a long time sometimes. So maybe somebody is out there watching and is not really into the young kittens, because kittens, you're not really sure what you're going to get with their personality as they're still developing, and they can be a little destructive as they are still learning what they can and can't do. With a cat like Nyla, who is still very young, you're still going to get all of that playfulness, but she's going to be a little bit more well-mannered. You know that this is her personality and it's going to stick. Hopefully there's someone out there watching that thinks that Miss Nyla here is going to be the perfect fit for their family. This big guy is Thanos, continuing our Avengers theme. And just like Thanos, he's a bit of a big guy, but he is so sweet. He's just kind of an easygoing, chill guy. He's always needing everything. He's just so relaxed and content. He's just, not only is he very sweet, he's a beautiful cat. He came to us as a stray, so we don't know a ton about him, but the kennel techs that are, take care of him on the daily basis only have good things to say about him. They talk about how sweet he is, how handsome he is. He and Acorn, who are kind of have cages one on top of the other, keep trying to play with each other through the cage. He'll reach down, Acorn will reach up. So he seems to be amenable to having another feline companion if you were to add him as a second cat or a third cat to your household. But it is important whenever you're adding an additional animal with existing animals to take those introductions very slowly. If you just toss them together and hope for the best, oftentimes those aren't going to work out as great as if you were to take your time and let them slowly get used to one another. We recommend for all of our cats, when we send them home, with their new families, that you keep them isolated in one room for a 10-day period. That does a lot of things. It gives them a chance to settle in, get used to the sounds and smells of your home, especially if you have other animals there. If they're recovering from a spay or neuter surgery, it gives them time to recover in a more confined environment where they're not going to be able to get into as much trouble. And then also, because we're an open admission shelter, we never know what animals might be coming in with, what illnesses. So it gives you a chance to see if they're showing any symptoms that we may have missed, that they may have been asymptomatic while they were here, before you introduce them to your existing animals and potentially expose them to a disease or an illness that our animals here might have. The most common ones are going to be things like upper respiratory infection, which is basically a cold for cats. But this guy has a lot of potential. He just needs someone who's going to add him to their home. You know, he's not really one of the cats that reaches out and grabs you and pulls you in, but he is definitely one that stands out in his cage because he's got that bright white spot on his face, that pink little nose. So make sure that you're stopping by and taking a look and seeing if maybe Thanos is going to be a good match for your family. Our next guest is Georgia, and she has been on the show before. She is actually a return to shelter, and this is her third stay with us. She's only a year old. Most recently, a couple broke up, and that's kind of what prompted the return to the shelter. But everyone who's returned her has unfortunately said that Miss Georgia is too affectionate. Some people say, well, how is that possible? She wants attention all the time. She will wake you up in the middle of the night to be petted and cuddled and played with. She will do anything to get your attention. I am used to that because I have cats like that at home, and I think it's just normal cat behavior. You know, just kind of roll over and they go away. But some people are not down with that. So if you are not thinking that you want your cat to be kind of pawing at your face at 3 a.m. to have a nice cuddle, maybe Georgia's not the right fit for you, because we don't want to see her coming back to the shelter again. She is very, very sweet. She handles new situations well. In addition to being a cuddle bug and wanting to be petted all the time, she is still very, very playful. She also, as a tortie, can have a little bit of sass to her. So she's just got kind of a great mix of big personality going on. She is, when she doesn't want attention, she definitely lets you know. But most of the time, indeed, she wants to be petted. She asks for attention. And she just needs somebody who understands that she wants all the love. It is a possibility that if she had another cat to play with, she would be a little less demanding of attention from her owners. So that's something that you might think about if you have a lonely cat at home who needs a friend. However, you want to take into consideration the fact that not all animals like each other, just like not all people meet and they enjoy that person's company. So it's not to say that there are going to be best friends that are cuddling. That's something that you want to take very slowly and you know, be understanding of the fact that they might just tolerate each other, which is okay as well. Georgia does also have kind of a missing little toe on her front paw, so you'll notice that there's a little gap between her digits on her paw, which just kind of adds to her personality and her character, gives her something else that makes her special and unique. If you want to visit with this beautiful little girl, you can stop in here at the shelter. She's in kind of a bottom cage, which makes her hard to see, but if you just ask any of the staff or volunteers you know, where George is, we'll all be happy to point you in the right direction. We definitely want to make sure that her next home is her forever home. This is Pumpkin, and Pumpkin is one of our shy cats here at the shelter. You know, she's our yellow color coded, which of course indicates that she's shy. And when she first came out on the floor, she was kind of hiding all the time in her bed and things like that. And then she got a cold and she went into sick room for 2 weeks. And when she came back out, she was like a whole new cat. In her cage where she is very comfortable, she is super outgoing. She wants to be petted. If you open the cage, she jumps right out of her hammock, comes to the front, wants to have people rub her and play with her. But today, when we brought her out of that safe zone into a brand new environment with lights and sounds and people that she really wasn't very familiar with, she was a little scared and she kind of ran off. So what we've done is we've swaddled her. Just like it can be comforting to a baby, it can be very comforting to the cats. As well as dogs, like smaller dogs and puppies. If you swaddle them, it adds to that comfort level for them. So that's what we've done, and now she seems to be relaxing a bit. So, given her shy history, it's something that any adopter would want to take into consideration, that when you get her home, she might regress a little bit. So as outgoing as she's showing in her kennel, she has the potential to be that, but it took time for her to achieve that. So it's going to take time for her to get to that point in your home as well. So being very patient with all of our shy cats. Those guys are usually indicated by either the yellow color code on their cage cards, or sometimes you'll see a purple card that also says Frady Cat Program. So those guys have special volunteers that work with them, so that they're not getting overloaded with a bunch of new people. They just build their confidence with people that they become very familiar with. So all of those guys you want to have very slow interactions with, being very, again, patient. Quiet homes tend to be better for our shy cats, sometimes even ones without a lot of small children, because small children make lots of quick movements and they generally make a little bit more noise. They have noisy toys, those types of things. So this, again, is Pumpkin. She's about 3 years old. She's a beautiful black cat, and we have some information about her. She was previously owned. All we got was that she likes to love bite, which a lot of cats do, and she likes to play. She had been with that one owner since she was about 4 weeks old, so she's only had one owner, so she's looking for a second chance at a forever home. You can visit her here at Animal Control. Our last guest today is Holly, and she is another one of our moms. She just came back to the shelter from foster care with her last 2 remaining kittens. She had 4 kittens in her litter. There were 3 tortie girls and a little boy who very much resembled Holly herself. Tyson and Maisie have already been adopted, but Lacey and Rosie are still on the adoption floor. They are about 11 weeks old, and Holly here is 1 to 2 years old. She is a beautiful cat, and she is just as playful as her kittens. When I went to get her out of her cage today, she was playing with a mouse like it was the greatest thing in the world. She was really into it. And then as soon as I picked her up, she was like, okay, this is what we're doing now, and settled right into being held and cuddled, was purring. She loves attention. The only thing that you really want to make sure, it might be a downside for some people, is that Holly has a very sensitive stomach, so changing her food is not healthy for her. So you want to pick a diet that she does well on and stick with that. Otherwise, it's going to give her diarrhea and things like that. Right now, she's on the Rachel Ray Nutrish and seems to be doing well with that. So something to think about when you're making a decision about whether or not Holly is going to be a good pet for your family. You can visit her here at the shelter. Our kennels are open for visitors on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday from 10 to 5. They're open on Wednesday and Thursday from 12 to 8, and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. We hope that you'll stop in and visit with us. Take a look around and see if you find your new pet and furry family member here with us. If not, we hope that you'll at least tune in next week so you can get a glimpse of what is available here at Frederick County Animal Control.